UFC 303, Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka 2 just ended. And this is going to be my main event recap. I'll be doing a full card post-fight as well. I'll link that down in the description as soon as that's done. But Alex Pereira gets a brutal first round KO with a nasty left hook. And I know people are probably like, Joey, what are you talking about? Did you even watch the fight? It was a second round head kick. Technically, it was a second round head kick KO, but it was really a first round KO. You look at the first round, at the tail end, the last second of the first round, Jiri rushes in, clip with a left hook, put down badly. I don't think he ever recovered. He was saved by the bell. I don't think he ever recovered in between rounds. He got dropped badly, and he's like waving Pereira to come on. I think he thought Herb stopped the fight. Bare minimum, he didn't know the round ended because he was knocked out. He was done. That left hook finished him right at the end of the first round. He came out in the second round, stood there like a statue, and just ate a head kick like he was a heavy bag. Pereira threw it with no setup, no feints. Jiri's just standing in front of him with his hands down. Pereira loads up a head kick and starches him out with the head kick. Herb Dean gave him every opportunity. He fell on his back. Pereira followed him to the ground, landed a hammer fist. Jiri starts scrambling. Jiri was clearly done, starts scrambling on his hands and knees. Pereira throwing some follow-up shots, and finally Herb Dean steps in. So technically second round KO, but let's be honest, it was a first round KO. That left hook, he was done right then and there. 1 second left in the first round. Jiri, if there's anyone that's going to recover, it could be Jiri. But he did not recover. He did not recover coming out of that first round. Great win for Alex Pereira. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to break down. We'll go through the first round first, and then we'll talk about there's this Joe Rogan's really pushing heavyweight, which I think is crazy and ludicrous, and I don't think it's actually going to happen. But first round, Pereira landed 3 really good left hooks, and I felt like they did incremental damage each time. Like the first left hook kind of stung Jiri as he was coming in. Second one kind of wobbled him a little bit. And then the third one was the one at the last second and put him down. Maybe 2.5 minutes left in the round. Jiri had landed maybe 1 leg kick, 1 punch as he rushed forward. Pereira was chopping at his legs. Jiri was switching stances, had no real answers. Looked for kind of a takedown, clinched up, had the body lock up against the fence. Never really like spammed for a takedown, and eventually he just kind of gave up on it. Pereira was throwing some dirty boxing shots in the clinch. And then, you know, that lasted for maybe a minute or so, a little over a minute, maybe a minute, 15 seconds. They broke. Jiri got aggressive with 1 second left and got clipped with the left hook, and basically it was over from there. So great win for Alex Pereira. I'm sad, though. I'm sad. And this is why I hate short notice fights. Jiri's championship hopes are over now, at least for a while. At least for a while. I mean, as long as Pereira is champion, Jiri is never fighting for that belt. He's 0-2 now. He took this fight on 2 weeks' notice. And I know there's going to be some people saying, Joey, you're making excuses for Jiri. Some people have some, like, fantasy that I hate Alex Pereira, which I do not. He's literally one of my, quite literally, top 5 probably favorite fighters to watch in the UFC. But if this would have happened to Alex Pereira, I'd be saying the same thing. That's why I was kind of hoping, you know, I don't know. I didn't know how to feel because, like, if Pereira lost, it was an asterisk next to it. We're going to see the trilogy. If Jiri loses, he's 0-2. It just sucks all the way around, to be honest. You know, it's a great performance from Pereira, especially to come in on 2 weeks' notice. I mean, they're both in shape, but, I thought Pereira being off on vacation, recovering from broken toes. Meanwhile, Jiri's like sitting in a dark shack and training nonstop and I guess worrying about black magic. I thought that Jiri would have the advantage in this fight. But, man, Pereira's a fucking savage. This guy is an absolute savage. To take a fight on 2-3 weeks' notice, you're not prepared at all against a wild man like Jiri Prochazka, and go out there and starch him out. And literally, it wasn't even competitive. Was not even competitive. I don't think he took any damage at all. Dana White says he wants to turn around pretty quickly and fight again. So, hopefully, he fights. I don't think he's not going to fight at the Sphere. So, I mean, he's not fighting at 304. He's not fighting in Perth, I don't think. I wouldn't think. There was talk of him apparently fighting in Abu Dhabi at some point. That would kind of make sense for the Magomed Ankalaev fight, which is the fight that I want to see. But, you know, it just sucks, man. It just sucks that there's kind of an asterisk next to this main event. It really does. Because Jiri's hopes of fighting for a belt are gone now. I know he's not that old. How old is Jiri Prochazka? Let me check real quick. I think he's in early 30s. He's 31. But his style is not conducive to longevity. It's really not conducive to longevity. And I said this about Tony Ferguson in the past. When you're reckless and rely on your chin too much, and that chin goes, and I'm not saying it's gone. Getting KO'd by Pereira doesn't mean your chin's gone. But I think this is the beginning of the end of Jiri Prochazka. I really do. And it just sucks that it was on 2 weeks notice. What is crazy to me, and I'm actually beginning to think that Pereira is using some type of black magic or shamanistic magic, as I think Rogan was saying. Rogan was obsessed with the magic, which driving me nuts. Because how does Pereira fight all these guys and no one thinks to grapple? Like, no one's grappling at all. They're not looking for takedowns. They're not desperate for takedowns. You should be grappling with everything you have. We know that's Pereira's weakness. You do not have the striking skills to hold up against Pereira on the feet. You have to mix in the grappling. How do these guys not know? I know Jiri clinched up in the first round and was like halfway looking for a takedown, but no. Jiri needs to be grappling early and often like the fight depends on it, because it quite literally does. I don't get it. Andreas Michailidis knew this. Bruno Silva knew this. Israel Adesanya knew this. What are these guys doing at light heavyweight? When's the last time someone actually grappled him? Jan Blachowicz in the first round. I think Pereira's using some type of black magic. He's putting a spell on these guys not to grapple him, and that's what Jiri did. And Jiri paid for it with his consciousness, and now he's done. Great win for Pereira, building his legacy. I think people are getting a little bit crazy, getting carried away. Oh, he's the GOAT, and he needs to move up to heavyweight. Rogan's like, you know how Rogan gets a narrative in his head and can't deviate away from it? He's like obsessed with Pereira moving to heavyweight now, and it makes absolutely no sense. Why would Pereira move to heavyweight right now? He's got 2 title defenses. He defended against Jamal Hill. He defended against Jiri Prochazka. And, maybe I doubt there'll be anyone saying, oh, you just don't like Pereira, that's why you don't move him moving up. No. Nobody. Not Islam Makhachev, not Israel Adesanya, not name anyone. It doesn't matter. Any champ, Kamaru Usman, whoever. No one should be moving divisions with 2 title defenses. It should be like 4 title defenses. Or if there's really nobody for you to fight in the division, it makes absolutely no sense for him to move up to heavyweight now, especially with a stalemate in the division. You got Tom Aspinall, an interim champion, fighting Curtis Blaydes, not unifying the title. You got Jon Jones waiting for old man Stipe Miocic, who hasn't fought in 3 years. And Pereira wants to be active. Pereira's in his late 30s. I believe Pereira's 37 years old. He's 36 going on 37. He'll be 37 next month. So we're going to have Pereira to sit out until next year? And then how do you rectify that with interim champion, undisputed champion? Because unless you do, I guess you could do Tom Aspinall defending his interim belt for a second time against Pereira. How does that make any sense? I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you guys right now, I have a feeling. I know what's going to happen here. I don't know if Pereira fights before then, and that could throw a wrench in his plan. But let's say Pereira says, oh, I'm going to sit out and wait. I don't think he's going to do that. If Jones beats up fireman Stipe Miocic, who's been answering phones at the fire department for the last 3.5 years since getting folded like a lawn chair, Jones is going to push for the Poatan fight. He's going to push for the Pereira fight, and I'm going to be pissed. Because I want to see, especially if Tom Aspinall beats Curtis Blaydes, I want to see Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. If Jon Jones isn't retiring after potentially beating Stipe Miocic, he needs to fight Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is the fight. And for him to potentially say, oh, I'm not going to fight Tom. Old Tom Aspinall. I'm going to fight Pereira. No. I don't want to see that unless Jones says I'm going back down to 205. Now, that would be a fight. That would be if Jones said, I'm going to go back down to 205. I want to recapture my old belt. I want to go back to my old stomping grounds. That would be interesting. But to have Pereira Jones, he's going to wait for Jones to fight in November and then maybe retire, maybe not retire, and then fight. Wait, you're going to have Pereira sit around when he's one of the most active champions. I love that Pereira's so active. We're going to have him sit around and wait to see if Jones maybe doesn't retire after his November fight that he may or may not win. And I'm telling you right now, if Stipe beats Jones, I think Dana gives him a rematch. I think they book a rematch. So the heavyweight division's in peril right now. Fuck the heavyweight division. I don't want any other great fighters tied up in the heavyweight division right now because everyone's tied up right now. Best case scenario, or not best case scenario, but I'm saying like most, aesthetically pleasing scenario for Pereira in a potential move to heavyweight would be Aspinall flatlining Curtis Blaydes, Jones fighting Stipe and then retiring, but that still would require Tom Aspinall waiting till November, being elevated, and Pereira fighting in December. So it makes absolutely no sense. Pereira needs to fight at light heavyweight. And who does he need to fight at light heavyweight? It's very clear. You look at the rankings right now at light heavyweight. Yuri's number 1, has 2 KO wins over Jiri. Number 2, Magomed Ankalaev. You need to book Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev. That is the fight to make. I know people are like, Magomed Ankalaev, he's a Dagestani. I don't want to see him fight for a title. Magomed Ankalaev deserves the title shot. I know people are like, he beat Johnny Walker. I mean, how good is that win aged? He's on the longest win streak in the light heavyweight division, I'm pretty sure. Not to mention the fact he beat Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title and ended up getting screwed via a draw, which wasn't the worst decision ever. But in the real world, Magomed Ankalaev leaves with the belt that night. So it makes absolutely no sense to not have a guy who's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fight win streak. A lot of these guys are ranked fighters or were ranked fighters. I think most of them are still ranked. Nikita Krylov, Volkan Ozdemir, Thiago Santos is gone, Anthony Smith, Johnny Walker. So that's the fight to make. That's a banger at light heavyweight. Why would you not want to see that? That's a compelling matchup, especially considering look how Jan Blachowicz was smashing the legs of Magomed Ankalaev. But also, Magomed Ankalaev, he is primarily a striker, but he has really good grappling. Now, he says he's going to stand with Pereira as well, but that's the fight that makes sense. And I doubt they're going to book it at the Sphere. I doubt they would book it at Perth, but Pereira is crazy, man. He's saying he wants to stay active. So really, it's gonna have to happen in October in Abu Dhabi, which I know people have made up a narrative that Ankalaev demanded Abu Dhabi. No, he just called him out for Abu Dhabi. You know, Ankalaev doesn't live in Abu Dhabi. I think that's the fight to make. I think Pereira versus Ankalaev in Abu Dhabi in October, right before Jones fights. And if Pereira wins, then we can give him an opportunity. It's still going to be a mess if we have Aspinall as interim champ and Jones decides he wants to fight Pereira. So then you have Aspinall still hanging around with his interim belt defending against someone else while Jones defends against Pereira and potentially retires and still doesn't fight Aspinall. But right now, the only fight to make in the light heavyweight division is Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, and what a banger matchup that is. I love that fight. Absolutely love that matchup. So I hate that Rogan gets in these weird, I don't even know what to call it, obsessive moods. Like, he was obsessed with Magic all night. He was obsessed with Magic the whole fight week, talking about it at the weigh-ins nonstop, trying to get answers about it nonstop. He's completely checked out on the actual sport of MMA. And now he's like, no, he's got to fight a heavyweight. He didn't clean out the division. I mean, seriously. I understand the division isn't like full of up-and-coming contenders. You know, Yuri's coming off a loss, obviously just lost to him. Jamal Hill, you know, let me campaign for an undeserved title shot. You guys want to call out hypocrisy? Give Jamal Hill the next title shot. I would love to see him get starched out cold by Pereira again. By the way, Jamal Hill was salty as hell that Pereira won. Salty as hell. So I love seeing that. But yeah, I don't want to see him at heavyweight. I hate that Rogan's pushing it. He has 2 title defenses. Let him get a 3rd, 4th maybe. Then we could start pushing for it. Especially when he gets like 38, 39. You know, the older you are, the better you can do in a heavyweight weight class. And to be honest, Pereira's walking around 230. Some of those guys are legit 265. And let me be very clear. Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones absolutely wreck Alex Pereira. So if you don't like Jon Jones and you want to see him lose, your best opportunity is Tom Aspinall. It's not Alex Pereira. Because they're going to grapple him. So he's going to have to clip him early. And also they have nasty power. Well, not Jon really in his hands. But Aspinall has filthy power coming back. Jones versus Aspinall is the fight to make. So I wonder what would happen if there was another injury, like Stipe got injured or Jones got injured, because Jones isn't going to take Aspinall on short notice. So the heavyweight division is a calamity. Don't throw Alex Pereira in there. Let's let him fight Magomed Ankalaev. But yeah, Pereira got it done. Great win for Pereira. Looks spectacular. Didn't get touched. The striking is unbelievable. People are saying the grappling's improved. I think it's definitely improved over time, but I still think it can be exposed badly. And people are getting way too carried away with the Pereira is #1 GOAT. Does he even have any German Shepherds or Belgian Malinois? Does he shoot guns? I know he shoots bow and arrows, but I think he doesn't shoot guns. So if he doesn't have at least 2 German Shepherds or Belgian Malinois or shoot some, you know, automatic rifles, I can't put him at #1 GOAT. But at the end of the day, Pereira gets it done. I think people are getting a little bit too crazy. It is kind of a weird light heavyweight career, to be honest. Jan Blachowicz split decision win. I thought he lost that fight. Jiri recovering from a catastrophic injury, out for like a year and a half. Jamal Hill, same thing, borderline short notice. Jiri, short notice, 2 weeks notice here. It is kind of a weird light heavyweight run, but if this guy can continue to string wins together and be active, what a resume he's going to have. Imagine he goes out there and starches Ankalaev, and then in the meantime, maybe Rakic gets a win or two and gets a rematch. Or not a rematch, I was thinking Jiri, gets a fight against Pereira. And let's say Pereira starches Rakic. And then Pereira's like, you know what, I'm 39. I'm not cutting down to 205 anymore. Give me the opportunity to become triple champ. That would be insane. That would be amazing. I got a feeling Jones is going to push for this fight, though. But I don't want to see Pereira sit out and wait for that. I don't want to see Pereira sit out and wait for that. He's a fun fighter to watch. The striking is unbelievable. He's definitely top striker in the UFC. Him and Israel Adesanya, two of the best strikers in the UFC, in my opinion, if not 1 and 2. Yeah, I mean, and also shout out to Pereira. I mean, think about how savage it is to step in on 2 weeks' notice to defend your title. I mean, taking all the risk. McGregor's pulling out with a broken pinky toe. Pereira apparently hurt his toes on the head kick, which is crazy. But, yeah, these light heavyweights got to start learning to grapple. I don't know how you're not shooting a takedown on Pereira when he's KOing everyone. KOing literally everyone. Jiri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, Jiri Prochazka. Doesn't KO Jan Blachowicz because Jan Blachowicz has an unbelievable chin. But Sean Strickland, Andreas Michailidis, which was a crazy flying knee KO. Pereira needs to fight Magomed Ankalaev. These guys need to learn how to grapple. But Pereira is cementing his status. He's definitely becoming one of the GOAT light heavyweights for sure. Another 1-2 defenses. I think he's right up there. You know, I wasn't really watching the sport. I was barely watching the sport previous to Jon Jones, so I really can't kind of rank him right now. But he's definitely getting up there. You know, another 1 or 2 title defenses. He's definitely going to be, you know, not up there with Jones, but like 2 or 3, depending on, you know, I don't really know the history pre-2010. You know, I know some of the champions, but I don't know title defenses and whatnot. But great win from Pereira, brutal KO power, finished Jiri at the end of the first, no doubt about it. He came out, he was out on his feet in the second round and literally there was no setup at all. Go back and watch the replay. There was no setup. Hate to see Jiri's career ended though. Absolutely devastating. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and share the video. Thank you so much for watching.